Welcome to the module on the use of risk assessment in risk management of the online short course on risk management for food safety. This is the third of three content-specific modules explaining different aspects of risk management in the context of food safety. Please note that this risk management course has been developed by the TARTAR project, which is being led from Ohio State University, and that it is a companion course to online short courses on decision-making, risk assessment and risk ranking. My name is Leon Gorris and I'm a consultant on the TARTAR project. I gratefully acknowledge Lucia Anelich of Anelich Consulting in South Africa and ILSI, the International Life Sciences Institute in Washington, for making slides available for this module from a taught course they developed under auspices of FAO. On behalf of the TARTAR project, I would like to thank you for joining this particular short course, and I wish you a very good learning experience. While this course is about various aspects of risk management, it is important to understand where risk assessment fits in. The aim of risk assessment is to facilitate decision-making by risk managers. Risk assessment clearly is a support tool, not an independent activity. The scope and purpose of a risk assessment should be well defined, and ideally, there should already be some understanding on the side of risk assessors of what potential control options are available to risk managers. Risk assessors and risk managers have different functions, and they may often have different backgrounds. Typically, risk assessors are scientists, technical people, while risk managers often have a non-scientific and non-technical background. It is well known that scientists may not always be the best communicators, and that risk managers may have difficulty understanding the outcomes of highly scientific risk assessments if these are not properly communicated and presented in a language that risk managers are familiar with, being non-experts. The presentation of risk assessment results to risk managers can be done in different formats. Some formats may be clearer than others, but most of them need a clear interpretation in order to prevent misunderstanding by risk managers and other stakeholders. For instance, assumptions are often made in a risk assessment where data are not available, and there may be several sources of uncertainty, such as biological variation or quality of the data used in a risk assessment, that have a direct influence on the significance of the RA outcomes. Risk assessors should well explain such influences and the overall robustness of the risk assessment to risk managers. If risk managers and other stakeholders do not have a clear understanding of these influencing factors, or the robustness of the risk assessment, they may not correctly interpret the risk assessment outcomes, and then draw the wrong conclusions. If risk assessors have been provided with a clear scope and purpose for their work, and have insights in potential control options available to risk managers, then the information in and the interpretation of risk assessment should provide risk managers with the necessary means to evaluate and select the most appropriate risk management option or options. It may well be that a risk manager may not consider the data and the outcomes of a risk assessment a good enough basis for their decision on a food safety situation or on the best control options. If the urgency of taking decisions allows, it may then be possible to extend the risk assessment and collect more data. Or it may be possible to initiate first some necessary research and then to include those data generated in the risk assessment for further work. Another option is to redefine the scope of the RA or of certain parts of the risk assessment, such as the risk management questions or the available risk management options. Important is understanding that RA is a tool to support decision-making by risk managers. It is not a purpose in itself. Evidently, if the tool is not good enough, the tool should be improved. This is the essence and the basis of the risk management concept. Many professions have their own jargon. Food safety risk managers and risk assessors also suffer from that phenomenon. In the current Codex guidelines on the conduct of risk management in microbiological terms, that has been mentioned earlier in the course, no specific description or definition is provided of what microbiological risk management options actually are. For the purpose of this course, it may be sufficient to use risk management options to describe any and all kinds of activities and actions that will have an effect on food safety. In the next slide, some examples of risk management options are given. Note that risk management options available will vary according to the food safety problem to be addressed. Here are several examples concerning microbiological hazards. When seawater warms up, mussels may become potentially toxic because pathogenic Vibrio bacteria increase in number. A risk management option is then to ban consumption of mussels during warm water periods, effectively eliminating the risk to consumers. Pregnant women are more susceptible to Listeria monocytogenes than the normally healthy population. A possible control option is to inform pregnant women not to eat foods such as soft cheese and smoked fish, in which this pathogen is likely to occur, thus reducing consumer exposure and then consumer risk. Some food products may look ready to eat to consumers, but need cooking to eliminate hazards. A risk management option then is to clearly inform consumers through good labeling of the need for cooking and to provide proper cooking instructions. In certain situations, it may not be necessary for a risk manager to mitigate a risk. This may be the case when the risk level is relatively low and the risk manager considers it acceptable at the time of decision-making. This slide gives a few examples of the use of microbiological risk assessment for other risk management purposes than for identifying risk management options. Risk managers may consider the use of risk assessment, for instance, as a tool to estimate a current level of consumer risk and compare that with future levels. This is typically done by governmental risk managers when setting public health targets, for instance, when driving for continuous improvement and for deciding on the timing and the type of mitigation measures to implement in a country over the course of a number of years. Because risk assessment is a systematic process that can be used for any type of hazard, be it microbiological or chemical, as such it can be used to compare risks and benefits of certain practices where those different types of hazards are associated to. For instance, one example in this area is comparing the risks and benefits of using disinfection agents to reduce the levels of microorganisms. While such agents may reduce microbiological risks to consumers, they potentially pose chemical risks to the consumers or the environment. Risk assessments can also help risk managers to compare and prioritize risks between different situations. These may be different hazards associated to a single food product, or a single hazard coming across different food product types, or different scenarios of intervention. One of the tools used where multiple risk situations are compared is risk ranking, for which another online short course of Tatar is available. And even when such risk estimates that are used in risk ranking are not always expressed in numbers, but also in more qualitative ranking orders, they can be used to prioritize risk reduction programs and to focus risk management decision-making. In summary, it is up to risk managers to decide whether risk assessments may help them to make informed decisions. Certainly in the area of assessing risk levels and developing risk scenarios for the selection of risk management option or options, RA has proven to be of value. Risk management options spanning a wide gamut of actions that directly or indirectly help control potential hazards and address food safety concerns. As a tool, risk assessment can help risk managers to make decisions in areas such as driving continuous improvement of food safety, in risk-benefit assessments, and in risk ranking and prioritization. To get more information and insight into these aspects of risk analysis, please consider attending the online short courses on decision-making, risk assessment, and risk ranking that have been developed in the context of the TATA project. Please note this acknowledgement and that this risk management short course module has been compiled using slides from a course developed originally by the Industry Council for Development and endorsed then by FAO and WHO. In 2017, the International Life Sciences Institute in Washington updated this course under auspices of FAO. Lucia Annelich, food safety consultant from South Africa, has been leading that update. I sincerely thank Lucia and Ilse for making the updated slides available to the TATA project. And finally, I would like to thank you for joining this course module on using risk assessment in risk management. Please note that 3 other modules of this course are available: Introduction, Module 1, Roles and Responsibilities of Risk Managers, Module 2, and Risk Management Principles, Module 3. You can access all these risk management modules and the other TATA short courses using the link shown on this slide. On behalf of the TATA project, I would like to thank you for joining this short course and encourage you to attend the other modules and courses as well.